For more debates, updates and bonus content, sign up at thebigconversation.show.
As we're on the subject, talking about Jordan Peterson, I know that you're somewhat familiar with some of what he's been doing as well, John. What's your take on what he's put his finger on that obviously so many people are responding to? And how does it relate, in your view, to the Christian faith that you hold?
I think people are longing for sense. And you mentioned connectedness. That has almost replaced meaning, but it's not real connectedness. And I was reading a book on artificial intelligence just recently, and it was warning that people will die if they're not connected to the internet, because all the meaning is being placed there. And I think what Jordan Peterson is doing is putting a nuclear bomb in the middle of that and saying this is not good enough. You've got to get outside of that. And you're right, it is rewiring brains. The psychologists tell us it's messing people's brains up, especially if they try and use two machines at once. And therefore, I just think that there's an underlying, and from where I sit, people are looking for this because although they often don't believe it or even have never heard of it, they are made in the image of God. They're beings who've got eternity in their hearts. And a kind of materialist universe without meaning just won't satisfy them, because they're actually made for something bigger. And C.S. Lewis put it years ago, if you find a longing in you that's not satisfied in this world, maybe there is another world at which it could be satisfied. And you can apply that to the world of ideas. So I really think he's hit a nerve.
And interestingly, if you read his book, 12 Rules for Life, and he's done a number
Yes,
of lectures, he's drawing a great deal on the Bible, especially the Old Testament.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He is, especially the Old Testament. And it has intrigued me that he has concentrated in his lectures on the Bible on the Old Testament. Now, that to me resonates completely, because I, as a Christian, have been for years trying to communicate to people that they've got to begin to take the Jewish scriptures seriously, because there you've got the foundation story. And people are looking for a story that's big enough to fit their lives into. And there's the start of the big story, creation. Human beings made in the image of God. And what that means for their dignity and their freedom and everything else. If we just get that one fact. I remember in Siberia, where I used to go quite a bit, and I gave the first lecture in 75 years on these issues in the University of Novosibirsk. And I made the point, I said, just think of the one statement, human beings made in the image of God. And I said, if I believed that, I wouldn't murder one of you, let alone the 100 million that Stalin did, and it absolutely erupted the place. Of course, they'd never heard it before. It was totally new to them. And I think our society needs to hear these truths, and Jordan Peterson is moving into that area because he's actually going back to the book and not being ashamed of it. And more power to him, I say.
Yeah, and just very briefly, just from being on tour with Jordan, I told you this backstage, but I never saw the guy break one of the 12 rules. I mean, try to imagine how chaotic his life was in the course of this becoming a massive star, traveling all over the world, the book sales, the celebrity, the entire thing, and he never broke one of those 12 rules. Just 20 seconds, we were at a dinner party at Douglas Murray's house with Majid Nawaz and Jordan. You may know those guys. And one of the rules is that if you see a cat in the street, you should pet it. And Douglas had a cat, and we're there for about 3 or 4 hours. We're having dinner. We're having a great time. And I'm looking at the cat the whole time, and I'm looking at Jordan. I'm going, the guy hasn't pet the cat. Like, you know, what am I on tour with this guy for? Like, is the whole thing, is he a fraud? You know, what's going on here? I swear to God, I was thinking it the entire time. And then as we were walking out the door, Jordan literally, and you can sort of picture Jordan, he's very tall and he has long limbs and he's slender, and he basically sat down in the cat's bed with the cat and stroke the cat for a good 5 minutes. And I thought, all right, he's the real deal.